If you think cross-dressing simply means putting on a dress, adding some makeup, and hoping you suddenly look feminine, there's a much bigger lesson you're missing. If your goal is to present yourself in a feminine way, feel comfortable when you walk into a room, and create an appearance that feels natural rather than like a costume, then you need to change the way you think about the entire process. It isn't just about clothes. It's about the complete picture. Your outfit, hairstyle, grooming, makeup, posture, movements, accessories, voice, confidence, and even the way you carry yourself all contribute to the impression you create. Every small detail either supports that impression or works against it. That's why one of the most useful rules you can follow is this. Don't simply wear women's clothes. Learn how to put together a feminine presentation that feels natural. And there's a reason the people who look the most convincing often seem effortless. They aren't necessarily wearing expensive clothing or complicated makeup. They understand that femininity is created through consistency. The biggest mistake beginners make is assuming that feminine clothing automatically creates a feminine appearance. It doesn't. Clothing is only one part of the image. You could wear an expensive dress and still feel uncomfortable if your posture is stiff, your hairstyle doesn't suit you, your makeup is unbalanced, or you're constantly thinking about whether everyone is watching you. Meanwhile, someone wearing simple jeans, a comfortable sweater, subtle makeup, and a natural hairstyle can create a much more believable feminine appearance. That's why you should stop asking only, "What should I wear?" Instead, ask, "What would someone naturally wear and do in this situation?" That shift in thinking changes everything. Real women aren't waking up every morning thinking, "How can I look feminine today?" They're simply getting dressed and living their lives. Their clothing, shoes, hairstyle, skincare, accessories, expressions, posture, and habits all work together because they aren't separate performances. They are part of everyday life. That's the mindset worth developing. The objective isn't to look like you're wearing women's clothing. The objective is to look comfortable in what you're wearing. Let's begin with clothing, because that's usually where people start. Forget the fantasy version of femininity for a moment. Look around you. Most women aren't walking around in glamorous gowns and extremely high heels. Everyday outfits are usually much simpler: fitted jeans, leggings, cardigans, sweaters, casual tops, sneakers, flats, boots, simple dresses, jackets, and understated accessories. If your goal is to blend into everyday surroundings, pay attention to reality rather than fantasy. Believability is more important than glamour. You don't need the most dramatic outfit in the room. You need an outfit that makes sense for the environment. And when it comes to clothing, fit matters enormously. A relatively inexpensive garment that fits your proportions correctly can look significantly better than an expensive outfit that is too tight, too loose, or simply the wrong shape. One common beginner mistake is buying clothing that is too small because they assume tighter automatically means more feminine. Usually, it doesn't. Clothing that is excessively tight can draw attention to areas you may actually want to soften, including shoulders, waist, and muscle definition. Proper fit works differently. It allows the clothing to follow your body without fighting against it. When you're learning, simple colors can also make things easier. Black, cream, beige, white, gray, soft pink, pale blue, olive, and pastel shades are versatile and relatively forgiving. They allow the overall presentation to work together instead of making one bright piece dominate everything else. That doesn't mean you have to avoid bold colors. It simply means you should learn balance before trying to create a dramatic look. Another part of the process that often gets overlooked is underwear and shaping garments. Nobody else may see them, but they can change how your clothing sits on your body. A well-fitted bra can help create shape. Shapewear can smooth certain lines. Padding can alter proportions, while hosiery can create a more even appearance on the legs. These are tools, not magic tricks. The goal should be balance rather than exaggeration. Creating extremely dramatic curves can sometimes make an outfit look less natural. A proportionate silhouette generally works better than one that looks artificially exaggerated. Think about harmony rather than trying to completely redesign your body. Hair is another major part of the overall presentation. If you have long hair, learning how to maintain it properly can make a huge difference. Healthy, well-kept hair often contributes more to an attractive appearance than an elaborate hairstyle. If you prefer wigs, avoid assuming that the most inexpensive option is automatically good enough. Very shiny synthetic hair can sometimes look noticeably artificial. Learning how to brush, shape, and style a wig can make a major difference. The hairline matters too. So does choosing a hairstyle that actually suits your face. You don't necessarily need extremely long curls or an elaborate style. A simple shoulder-length cut can sometimes look considerably more natural and flattering. The best hairstyle isn't necessarily the most dramatic one. It's the one that looks like it belongs to you. Makeup should enhance, not overpower. Makeup is another place where beginners can easily go too far. Heavy foundation, thick eyeliner, oversized lashes, and extremely bright lipstick can look impressive in photographs, but they can also emphasize features you were hoping to soften. Start with the basics. Aim for an even complexion, naturally shaped brows, subtle contouring, mascara, gentle blush, and a neutral or softly colored lip. You can always experiment with more dramatic styles later. Think of makeup as a way to guide attention rather than completely hide your face. And pay particular attention to your eyebrows. Brows frame the face, and even small changes in grooming can significantly affect the overall appearance. Skincare matters just as much. When your skin is healthy and cared for, you usually need less makeup to achieve a polished appearance. Build simple habits. Cleanse your skin, moisturize, use sunscreen, stay hydrated, and get adequate rest whenever possible. Good skin is rarely an overnight achievement. Consistency is what produces results. Your body language says more than you think. Now we get to something that clothing can never completely fix: body language. You can have the perfect outfit and still feel uncomfortable if your posture and movements are tense. Start by relaxing. Let your shoulders drop naturally. Avoid constantly pushing your chest forward or trying to hold your body in an unnatural position. When you walk, don't force an exaggerated hip movement. Natural movement is usually much more convincing than imitation. You don't have to copy someone else's walk. Instead, focus on becoming comfortable with your own movement. The same applies to your hands. Clenched fists, rigid fingers, nervous gestures, and constant fidgeting can communicate anxiety. Relax your hands. Hold objects naturally. Let your gestures follow the conversation rather than consciously performing every movement. Authenticity almost always looks better than forced behavior. Confidence may be one of the most powerful parts of a feminine presentation. Not arrogance. Not pretending you're flawless. Quiet confidence. The kind that comes from knowing you prepared yourself properly. When your clothing fits, your hair is styled, your makeup is balanced, and you've practiced enough to feel comfortable, you stop obsessing over every person around you. And something interesting happens. You begin acting naturally. That can actually make you less noticeable. Many people who cross-dress worry that everyone around them is staring. Usually, that isn't happening. Most people are occupied with their own lives. They're thinking about work, checking their phones, worrying about dinner, trying to get somewhere, or thinking about whatever is happening in their own world. The imaginary spotlight in your head is usually much brighter than the real one. Once you understand that, going outside becomes much easier. Your voice doesn't have to be forced. Voice is another component worth developing, but don't rush into trying to make your voice extremely high. Pitch is only one part of vocal presentation. Rhythm, breathing, pronunciation, expression, pacing, and softness can all affect how a voice is perceived. A relaxed voice is generally more convincing than one that is being pushed into an uncomfortable range. The goal isn't to sound like someone else. The goal is to become comfortable with the way you communicate. Femininity comes from consistency. One of the biggest lessons to understand is that femininity isn't created through one dramatic transformation. It develops through dozens of small habits. The way you care for your skin. The way you maintain your hair. The clothes you choose. The shoes you wear. The way you sit. The way you smile. The way you listen. The way you move. The way you prepare yourself. None of these things seems extraordinary on its own. But together, they create a complete impression. So whenever you get dressed, ask yourself. That question can completely change how you approach your presentation. Because convincing presentation isn't necessarily about beauty. It's about comfort. People tend to believe what looks natural. The more comfortable you become, the less you feel like you're performing. And that comfort changes everything. Another major source of frustration is social media. You're constantly exposed to perfect lighting, carefully selected angles, filters, editing, professional makeup, and perfectly timed poses. Then you look at yourself and wonder why you don't look the same. But you're comparing your everyday reality to someone else's carefully selected image. That isn't a fair comparison. Instead, compare yourself with who you were last month. Maybe your makeup is smoother. Maybe you've learned how to style your hair. Maybe your clothes fit better. Maybe you feel more comfortable walking outside. Maybe you simply feel less nervous than you used to. Those are real improvements. Focus on them. Shoes can make or break an outfit. A lot of beginners immediately assume that extremely high heels are essential for looking feminine. They aren't. If you can't walk naturally in them, they may actually make the entire presentation less convincing. Start with something manageable. Low heels, flats, ankle boots, clean sneakers, or comfortable sandals can all work depending on the situation. Think about what women actually wear in everyday life. They choose footwear based on their lifestyle, location, comfort, and activity. Comfort produces confidence. And confidence creates elegance. If you want to learn heels, treat walking in them as a skill. Practice with small steps. Keep your knees relaxed. Allow your foot to move naturally from heel to toe. Don't rush. The more you practice, the less conscious every step becomes. Eventually, you stop thinking about the mechanics and simply walk. You don't need dramatic acrylic nails to create a feminine appearance. Clean, neatly shaped nails with clear polish or a subtle color can be more than enough. Take care of your hands. Moisturize them regularly. Small grooming habits can communicate a surprising amount of care and attention. The same principle applies to everything else. You don't need to exaggerate. You need to look cared for. Body position affects how people perceive you. When you sit, try not to collapse into the chair or occupy space without awareness. Relax your back. Keep your knees together or cross your legs if that feels comfortable. But don't turn it into a rigid rule. The point isn't to constantly monitor yourself. It's to become aware of how your body occupies space. When standing, avoid locking your knees or forcing your chest outward. Distribute your weight naturally. Small changes can soften the overall impression without looking theatrical. Sometimes people become so focused on trying to pass that they forget to actually enjoy themselves. They constantly worry about being judged. That anxiety can show immediately in the face. A genuine smile can make almost anyone look more approachable and confident. You don't need to pretend to be fearless. Confidence simply means understanding that you don't need to be perfect. Facial hair preparation is another detail that can make a substantial difference. A smooth shave creates a cleaner foundation for makeup. Experiment with shaving routines and products that work well for your skin, and take care of the skin afterward. If beard shadow remains visible, color correction can help neutralize it before applying foundation. The smoother your base is, the less makeup you may need. Fragrance is another small detail that can influence an overall impression. You don't need to cover yourself in perfume. A light, clean scent is usually more subtle and elegant than something overpowering. The goal is freshness. Not announcing your arrival from across the room. Accessories can improve an outfit, but too many can quickly make it feel chaotic. Beginners sometimes believe that adding more jewelry automatically makes an appearance more feminine. It doesn't. Large earrings, multiple necklaces, several bracelets, numerous rings, and an oversized handbag can all compete for attention. Instead, choose one or two pieces that complement the outfit. A delicate necklace. Simple earrings. A modest bracelet. A subtle ring. The same principle applies to handbags. Choose something appropriate for the situation. A casual outfit usually works better with a casual bag, while a formal outfit can support something more polished. When the accessories match the environment, the entire presentation feels more believable. One of the most useful skills you can develop is observation. Pay attention to how women behave naturally in everyday situations. Watch how they wait in line. How they check their phones. How they carry shopping bags. How they greet friends. How they laugh. How they sit. How they interact with strangers. You're not trying to copy one particular person. You're learning to recognize patterns. Clothing observation is just as valuable. Notice how often people repeat outfits. Notice how frequently they combine old favorites with new pieces. Notice practical shoes, casual jackets, comfortable sweaters, and everyday combinations. Real life isn't a runway. Understanding that can make your own wardrobe much more believable. Don't spend a huge amount of money buying dozens of random outfits. Build gradually. Invest in versatile pieces that work with each other. A few pairs of well-fitting jeans, neutral tops, skirts, cardigans, jackets, leggings, and dresses can create a surprisingly large number of combinations. A smaller wardrobe where everything works together is often much more useful than a closet full of clothes you never wear. Quality and versatility usually matter more than quantity. If you're shopping in person for the first time, remember that retail workers have seen almost everything. Most employees are focused on helping customers, not judging them. The anxiety is often much stronger in your own mind than it is in reality. Go in. Browse. Ask questions if you need help. Try things on when appropriate. You're simply shopping. Online shopping can make things easier, but measurements are essential. Know your bust, waist, hips, shoulder width, and inseam. Don't become obsessed with the number on a clothing label. Sizing varies between brands. The fit is what matters. Learn about proportions. Understanding proportions can help you choose clothing that works with your natural shape. If you have broader shoulders, adding some volume to the lower half can create visual balance. A-line skirts, bootcut trousers, or certain dresses can help create a more balanced silhouette. If your shoulders are narrower, specific necklines or structured pieces may help create proportion. Fashion uses visual illusion constantly. That applies to everyone. Layering can also help. Cardigans, light jackets, blazers, and scarves can soften lines, add depth, and create a more structured appearance without relying on excessive padding. Going outside for the first time can feel intimidating. You don't have to begin in the busiest place you can imagine. Start small. Take a short drive. Visit somewhere quiet. Go for a walk. Stop for coffee. Visit a park. Every successful experience teaches your brain something important. The world is usually less frightening than your imagination made it seem. Fear often decreases through experience. Waiting for confidence to magically appear usually doesn't work. Action comes first. Confidence follows. And you'll quickly discover something reassuring. Most people barely remember strangers they pass. Think about the last 10 people you walked past. Can you remember their clothes? Their shoes? Their hairstyle? Probably not. That's how most people experience you too. Your wig might move. Your makeup might smudge. Your shoes might become uncomfortable. Your outfit might not look exactly the way you imagined. That's normal. Instead of panicking, deal with the problem and continue. Wardrobe problems happen to everyone. The difference is that experienced people fix the problem instead of deciding that the entire day has been ruined. Don't expect perfection. Expect occasional mistakes. Don't make strangers your scorecard. Your femininity shouldn't depend on whether strangers compliment you. Some days people might notice. Some days they won't. Neither should determine how you feel about yourself. The goal is not to collect approval from everyone around you. The goal is to become more comfortable with yourself. Your mindset affects your physical presentation more than you might realize. If you repeatedly tell yourself, "I don't belong here," your body can start communicating that belief. Your shoulders tighten. Your movements become rigid. Your face becomes anxious. Instead, remind yourself. That simple shift can change how you carry yourself. The strongest presentation starts before you put your clothes on. It begins with preparation. Experienced people don't necessarily throw together an outfit 5 minutes before leaving. They already know which shoes work with which outfit. They know which earrings complement a hairstyle. They know which handbag works with a particular look. They have a plan. Preparation reduces stress because you aren't making every decision at the last possible moment. Your wardrobe should make getting dressed easier. Instead of filling your closet with random purchases, build a collection of pieces that work together. Imagine opening your wardrobe and knowing that almost everything can be combined with something else. That kind of consistency creates confidence. You don't need dozens of dresses. You need clothing that makes you feel comfortable, confident, and authentic. You don't need to memorize every fashion rule. Start with simple harmony. Neutral colors are versatile. If your outfit already has a strong statement piece, keep your accessories quieter. If your clothes are simple, a colorful scarf, handbag, or pair of earrings can provide the focus. Balance is usually more elegant than excess. The same applies to jewelry. A small pair of earrings, a delicate necklace, a simple bracelet, or an understated ring can add refinement without overwhelming the outfit. The goal isn't to prove femininity by adding more and more. It's to create a presentation that feels natural. There's nothing wrong with experimenting. Bold colors can be fun. Dramatic looks can be beautiful. But learning natural makeup first gives you a foundation that makes everything else easier. Learn how to create healthy-looking skin. Learn how to define your eyes without overpowering them. Learn how to shape your brows. Learn how to choose lip colors that complement your complexion. Once you understand those fundamentals, experimenting becomes much easier. And always remember that lighting changes your appearance. Something that looks perfect under bright bathroom lights may look completely different outdoors. Whenever possible, check your makeup in natural daylight before leaving. You'll notice foundation mismatches, uneven blending, and other details much more clearly. Photos can be especially frustrating. Sometimes you look great in the mirror and completely different in a photograph. That doesn't necessarily mean you looked bad. Cameras, lenses, lighting, angles, distance, posture, and facial expressions can all change how your appearance is captured. Don't let one photograph convince you that your progress isn't real. Look at the bigger picture. Maybe your makeup is better than it was a month ago. Maybe your clothes fit more naturally. Maybe your hair looks more polished. Maybe you're walking with less anxiety. Maybe you're simply more comfortable being yourself. That is progress. And progress matters much more than perfection. The people you admire didn't become comfortable overnight. They experimented. They made mistakes. They changed their routines. They found what worked. They abandoned what didn't. They practiced. And gradually, their presentation became more natural. You can do the same. The most important shift is to stop obsessing over whether you look feminine enough, and start asking whether the entire presentation feels believable, comfortable, and consistent. That's the real difference. You don't need to look like a fashion model. You don't need the shortest skirt, highest heels, brightest lipstick, or most dramatic hairstyle. You need harmony. Your clothes should work with your hair. Your hair should work with your makeup. Your makeup should work with your expressions. Your expressions should work with your body language. And everything should fit the environment you're in. When all those pieces support each other, people stop noticing individual details. They simply see a complete presentation. And that's when the transformation really begins. The moment you stop asking, "Is this feminine enough?" and start asking, "Does this feel natural?" your entire approach changes. Because the goal isn't perfection. It's progress. Every outfit teaches you something. Every makeup attempt improves your technique. Every walk gives you more confidence. Every mistake gives you information. Every time you step outside and realize the world didn't end, your fear becomes a little smaller. And remember the biggest lesson of all. You must dress like a girl. No exceptions doesn't mean you need expensive clothes, unrealistic beauty standards, or an exaggerated appearance. It means committing to the entire experience rather than focusing only on the obvious pieces. When the details work together, the result becomes much more natural. You stop looking like someone who is trying desperately to create an image. You begin looking like someone who is simply comfortable expressing themselves. And that is where confidence comes from. Not perfection. Not approval. Not trying to impress every stranger. Just preparation, consistency, self-awareness, and the willingness to keep improving. Focus on becoming better than you were yesterday. That is more valuable than trying to become someone else. A camera can be useful, but it can also be misleading. A lens can flatten depth, alter proportions, and make your appearance look completely different depending on the angle, distance, and lighting. Learning which angles photograph well can certainly help, but never mistake a single photograph for an objective picture of reality. A mirror, natural lighting, and the way you actually interact with people are usually much more useful indicators of how you present yourself. Practice taking photos if you enjoy it. Learn how to pose. But don't become dependent on one carefully rehearsed position. If you only feel feminine when you're standing in the exact pose you practiced for a photograph, then you're not developing confidence, you're developing a performance. Real confidence needs to work everywhere. It should exist when you're standing in line, sitting at a cafe, walking down the street, talking to someone, or simply relaxing at home. Your presentation should move with you. Another skill that makes an enormous difference is learning to dress according to the occasion. Think about where you're actually going. A trip to the supermarket doesn't require a carefully constructed fashion statement. Comfortable jeans, a casual top, practical shoes, and simple accessories may be more appropriate. Meeting friends for coffee might call for something relaxed but polished. A formal event is different. That's where an elegant outfit makes sense. The closer your clothing matches the environment, the more naturally you'll fit into it. One mistake beginners sometimes make is treating every opportunity to dress femininely like a special event. That's understandable, especially when you don't get to dress the way you want as often as you'd like. But everyday femininity is usually much simpler. Being appropriately dressed is often more convincing than being dramatically dressed. And simplicity has another advantage. It can reduce the amount of attention you feel you're receiving. Your appearance is only part of the way people experience you. Communication matters too. Listen when someone is speaking. Don't interrupt simply because you're nervous. Speak at a comfortable pace. Maintain natural eye contact. Smile when you genuinely feel like smiling. None of this requires you to replace your personality with someone else's. The goal isn't to become a different person. It's to become more relaxed and present during social interactions. And never underestimate kindness. People often remember the emotional experience of meeting you more strongly than the exact details of your outfit. A polite interaction with a cashier, patience with a stranger, respect during a conversation, or simply being approachable can leave a stronger impression than perfect makeup ever could. Confidence combined with warmth is powerful. Prepare for negative reactions. Eventually, you may encounter someone who doesn't understand what you're doing. Someone may stare. Someone may make a comment. Someone may simply react differently than you hoped. Prepare yourself for that possibility before it happens. A stranger's reaction does not determine your value. Someone else's discomfort doesn't automatically mean you did something wrong. Not everyone is going to understand or approve of the way every person chooses to express themselves. That's part of living authentically. What matters is how you handle those moments. Stay composed when you can. Don't allow one uncomfortable encounter to erase 10 ordinary or positive ones. Most of the time, people will either treat you normally or barely notice you at all. Your imagination can create scenarios far more dramatic than anything that actually happens. Every experienced person has had an outfit that looked better in their imagination than it did in reality. Maybe the wig looked artificial. Maybe the foundation was the wrong shade. Maybe the shoes became unbearable after 10 minutes. Maybe your makeup looked perfect under indoor lighting but completely different outside. These experiences aren't proof that you failed. They are information. Instead of asking that question, turns disappointment into useful feedback. Every mistake teaches you something about fit, color, comfort, styling, lighting, or preparation. And the next attempt becomes better because you learned from the previous one. Physical fitness can help too, but this isn't about chasing an unrealistic body standard. Regular movement can improve posture, flexibility, energy, balance, and general confidence. Even something as simple as walking regularly can change how you feel in your body. Healthy habits also support your appearance. Good nutrition, hydration, adequate sleep, and regular movement can contribute to healthier skin, stronger hair, and better energy. Beauty products have their place, but they work best when they are supported by consistent self-care. Give yourself time. Patience is one of the most important skills you can develop. Fashion changes. Makeup trends change. Hairstyles change. Products change. But the confidence you build through practice is much more durable. You don't have to master everything immediately. Allow yourself to improve gradually. Every person you admire started somewhere. They made mistakes. They looked awkward sometimes. They changed their approach. They kept practicing. That's how skill develops. And here's something worth remembering. The most feminine-looking person in a room isn't necessarily wearing the most expensive outfit. Often, it's the person who simply looks comfortable with herself. Comfort creates ease. Ease creates grace. And grace can create an impression that money can't buy. Think back to the idea behind the title. You must dress like a girl. No exceptions. The deeper meaning isn't that you need to follow rigid stereotypes. It isn't about forcing yourself into a particular definition of femininity. It's about taking the complete presentation seriously. When you intentionally consider your clothing, grooming, hair, makeup, posture, accessories, behavior, and confidence, you stop leaving the result to chance. You prepare. You refine. You learn. Eventually, getting dressed stops feeling like putting on a disguise. Instead, it starts feeling like expressing a side of yourself that you've developed through patience and practice. And that's an important distinction. Femininity doesn't have to exist only for the few hours when you're dressed up. It can become something you communicate through your confidence, consistency, and authenticity whenever you choose to present yourself that way. Eventually, something interesting happens. Things that once required intense concentration begin happening automatically. You won't spend half an hour trying to decide which earrings belong with an outfit because you'll understand your own style. You won't panic while applying eyeliner because your hands will have learned the movement. You won't feel the need to check your reflection every few minutes because you'll trust the preparation you did before leaving. That's what practice really gives you. Not perfection. Familiarity. And familiarity creates comfort. Think about people who naturally appear feminine in everyday life. Most aren't consciously analyzing every movement. They aren't wondering whether they laughed in the right way. They aren't studying how they hold a coffee cup. They aren't planning every time they touch their hair. They simply do these things. Natural behavior develops through repetition. Repetition builds confidence. This is why practicing at home can be surprisingly useful. Wear different outfits around the house. Sit on the sofa. Prepare a meal. Read something. Watch television. Fold laundry. Walk around. Try different shoes. Spend time simply existing in the clothing instead of treating it like a costume reserved for a special moment. The more ordinary the experience becomes, the less likely you are to feel like you're performing. Eventually, the clothing becomes something you inhabit rather than something you constantly think about. Don't fight nervousness. Appearance isn't the only thing people notice. Emotion shows up physically. If you're nervous every second, your shoulders may tighten. Your breathing can become shallow. Your face may become tense. Your movements may become rigid. You don't have to pretend you aren't nervous. Nervousness is normal when you're doing something unfamiliar. The goal isn't to eliminate every uncomfortable feeling before you act. The goal is to continue anyway. Confidence doesn't always arrive before the experience. Sometimes you build confidence by having the experience. Facial expressions can communicate more than makeup ever will. Relax your forehead. Don't hold your eyebrows in a permanently surprised position. Let your smile happen naturally instead of forcing one into every interaction. A calm expression can appear much more confident than an exaggerated attempt to look cheerful. Your eyes matter too. Constantly looking around to see who might be watching you can communicate anxiety. Instead, focus on what you're doing. Look naturally at the person you're speaking with. Pay attention to the conversation rather than constantly wondering what they think about your appearance. People often respond to your overall energy before they notice small details in your clothing. There is such a thing as too much. One more necklace. One more accessory. Another layer of makeup. Another styling trick. At some point, adding more can actually weaken the result. Simplicity gives the person underneath the styling room to be seen. This applies to hair as well. You don't need the longest wig, most dramatic haircut, or most complicated hairstyle. A neat bob, gentle waves, or a simple ponytail may work better than a highly elaborate style that requires constant maintenance. Choose hairstyles based on what complements your face rather than blindly following trends. Your face is unique. Your body is unique. Stop trying to transform yourself into a copy of someone else. Instead, learn what works with your existing features. Makeup should enhance your face, not erase it. Fashion should work with your body rather than forcing it into an impossible shape. Confidence isn't pretending to be someone else. It's learning how to present the best version of yourself. One useful habit is taking occasional progress photos. Not necessarily for social media. For yourself. Every few weeks, wear a similar outfit and take a photograph under reasonably similar lighting. Then leave it alone. Don't analyze every image immediately. Wait several months and compare them. You may notice changes that were invisible while they were happening. Your makeup technique may have improved. Your styling may look more polished. Your posture may have changed. Your confidence may be visible in the way you stand. Slow growth can be difficult to recognize when you see yourself every day. Time gives you perspective. Your style will change. Don't be surprised if your favorite outfits change over time. Something you loved 6 months ago may eventually feel completely wrong for you. That's normal. Your taste develops as you gain experience. You learn which cuts flatter your proportions. You discover which colors make you feel comfortable. You figure out which hairstyles actually suit your face. You start understanding what reflects your personality. Allow your style to evolve. There isn't one correct version of femininity. Maybe you love romantic clothing. Maybe you prefer casual outfits. Maybe vintage styles appeal to you. Maybe you like clean, modern minimalism. All of those can work. The most important thing is that the style feels authentic to you. The way you carry yourself can influence the way other people respond. Someone who walks calmly, smiles naturally, communicates respectfully, and appears comfortable often makes other people feel comfortable too. Confidence doesn't guarantee universal approval. Nothing does. But it can make ordinary social situations feel much easier. And remember that difficult days will still happen. Your makeup may refuse to cooperate. Your hair may look terrible. Your favorite outfit might suddenly feel wrong. You may simply wake up without feeling particularly feminine. One difficult day doesn't erase months of progress. Everyone has days when nothing seems to work. Accept it. Learn what you can. Move forward. Perhaps the most important thing is to actually enjoy learning. If every time you dress, you immediately search for flaws, you'll miss the fun of discovering what you can do. Celebrate small victories. The first makeup look that genuinely makes you happy. The first pair of jeans that fits exactly the way you wanted. The first time you walk comfortably in a new pair of shoes. The first time you leave home without constantly worrying about your appearance. Those moments matter. They may seem insignificant individually, but they gradually build something much bigger. Confidence. Eventually, someone may ask how you became so comfortable. They might expect you to name a particular makeup product. Maybe they assume it was an expensive wig. Maybe they think you discovered the perfect outfit. But you'll know the truth. There was no single secret. It was hundreds of small decisions repeated over time. Choosing clothes because they fit instead of buying them simply because they looked exciting. Taking care of your skin instead of relying entirely on heavy makeup. Learning posture rather than relying on posing. Choosing preparation instead of constant self-doubt. Choosing patience instead of unrealistic expectations. Choosing improvement instead of perfection. That's the real meaning behind the idea. You must dress like a girl. No exceptions. It isn't a command to follow rigid rules. It's a reminder that the details matter. When you stop treating certain parts of your presentation as optional, the entire result becomes more polished and cohesive. So the next time you stand in front of the mirror, don't ask only whether your clothes look feminine. Look at the entire picture. Does your hairstyle work with the outfit? Does your makeup fit the occasion? Are your shoes appropriate? Are your accessories balanced? Does the clothing move naturally? Are you standing comfortably? Does your expression look relaxed? And most importantly, are you enjoying the person looking back at you? If you can answer yes, then you've already discovered something that many people spend years trying to understand. True femininity isn't contained in one perfect dress. It isn't hidden inside one makeup product. It isn't created by an expensive wig or a designer label. It comes from consistency, self-care, awareness, thoughtful choices, practice, and the quiet confidence that develops when you know you've prepared yourself well. At that point, getting dressed stops being about hiding. It becomes expression. You're no longer simply putting on feminine clothing. You're presenting yourself intentionally, with confidence, grace, and authenticity. And that difference is far more memorable than the specific clothes you happen to wear. Eventually, there's a stage where buying more things stops being the answer. You already have enough clothing. Enough makeup. Enough accessories. The next improvement comes from paying attention to details. Anyone can order a dress. Anyone can watch a short makeup tutorial. But developing the small habits that transform an entire presentation requires patience. One of the most valuable habits is simply slowing down. Rushing rarely produces elegance. Give yourself enough time to get ready properly. When you're racing against the clock, you're more likely to miss an uneven lipstick line, tangled hair, an untucked shirt, loose threads, or accessories that don't quite work together. A few extra minutes can prevent those problems. More importantly, taking your time helps you leave the house feeling calm instead of rushed. Another overlooked skill is understanding fabric. Different materials create different shapes. Stiff fabrics can add structure and sometimes make certain areas look broader. Softer materials often drape closer to the body and can create a gentler outline. Cardigans, flowing blouses, soft sweaters, and well-designed dresses can move with you instead of fighting against your body. And movement matters. Don't only inspect your outfit while standing still. Walk. Sit. Reach for something. Turn around. Lift your arms. See whether the clothing stays where it should. Does the skirt move naturally? Does the jacket sit correctly? Does your top remain comfortable when you move? Experienced dressers often check these things without consciously thinking about them. You can learn to do the same. Most people look at themselves straight from the front. But other people don't see you from one fixed angle. Check your profile. Turn around. Look at yourself from behind. Walk past a full-length mirror. Observe yourself while moving. Something that looks perfectly balanced from the front may look completely different from the side. You can learn more from watching yourself move for a few minutes than from staring at one static reflection for an hour. Lighting deserves the same attention. Indoor lighting can change colors dramatically. Foundation may appear perfect beneath warm bathroom lights and suddenly look too orange in daylight. A dress may seem subtle indoors but much brighter outside. Whenever possible, check your final appearance near a window before you leave. Natural light exposes details honestly, and that honesty helps you improve. Your handbag shouldn't feel like a prop. It should feel like something you genuinely use. Carry the things you actually need: your phone, wallet, keys, tissues, lip balm, perhaps a compact mirror or other essentials. When you use your bag naturally, it becomes part of your behavior rather than an accessory you're consciously performing with. That small distinction can make the entire presentation feel more authentic. Confidence grows when you stop trying to memorize hundreds of fashion rules. Instead of asking, ask. Instead of, ask. Principles are flexible. Rigid rules aren't. Once you understand balance, proportion, context, comfort, and harmony, you can make better choices in almost any situation. You don't need designer clothing to look polished. A reasonably priced outfit that fits well, is clean, coordinated, and appropriate for the occasion can easily look better than an expensive outfit chosen only because of its brand name. The label doesn't create confidence. Knowing that your outfit works for you does. And take care of the clothes you already own. Iron them when necessary. Remove loose threads. Keep shoes clean. Store delicate items properly. If you wear wigs, maintain them carefully. These details may sound ordinary, but they contribute significantly to a polished appearance. Looking put together isn't always about buying something new. Sometimes it's about taking better care of what you already have. Another common mistake is trying to transform everything in a single day. A completely new wardrobe. Dramatic makeup. Very high heels. A completely different hairstyle. A new voice. New mannerisms. That's too much to manage at once. Instead, choose one area and work on it. Spend a few weeks improving your skincare routine. Then focus on makeup. Then experiment with hairstyles. Then work on posture. Then practice walking comfortably. Small improvements are easier to understand, remember, and maintain. You don't need to reinvent yourself overnight. Confidence doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's simply walking into a coffee shop without checking every few seconds to see who is watching. It's speaking comfortably to the cashier. It's browsing through a store without rushing because you're worried about being judged. It's sitting somewhere in public and simply enjoying your time. Those ordinary moments can be much more meaningful than a perfectly edited social media photograph. Eye contact is another subtle part of communication. When people feel nervous, they sometimes avoid looking at others because they are worried about being judged. But excessive avoidance can make you appear even more uncomfortable. You don't need to stare. Simply look at the person naturally while they are speaking. Then look away normally. Think about how you would want someone else to interact with you. Natural eye contact communicates presence. Even breathing can influence the way you move. Anxiety often produces shallow breaths. That can cause tension in your shoulders and make your movements feel stiff. Slow, steady breathing helps your body relax. And when your body relaxes, movement becomes smoother because you aren't constantly fighting your own tension. Before walking into a public place, take a moment. Breathe. Relax your shoulders. Look around. Then continue. Every time you go somewhere, you collect useful information. Maybe those shoes are comfortable for 30 minutes but not 2 hours. Maybe one hairstyle handles wind much better than another. Maybe a particular handbag is beautiful but impractical. Maybe certain clothing works perfectly indoors but feels uncomfortable outside. That isn't failure. That's data. The next time you get dressed, you'll make a slightly better decision because you know more than you did before. And eventually, those small lessons become instinct. You stop thinking about every detail. You simply know what works. That is what real progress looks like. Not becoming perfect overnight. Not copying someone else. Not chasing an impossible standard. Just learning, adjusting, practicing, and becoming more comfortable with yourself one decision at a time. As you gain experience, something important begins to change. You stop worrying so much about impressing strangers and start caring more about whether your appearance actually feels like you. That shift matters. Trying to satisfy impossible standards can consume your energy, but authenticity gives you something much more valuable, a style that can grow with you. Trends disappear. Personal style doesn't. Your taste will change as you learn more about yourself, and that's exactly how it should be. And while you're developing your appearance, don't forget something surprisingly powerful: good manners. Being patient, respectful, considerate, and polite can transform an interaction. It also takes some pressure off you because instead of constantly thinking about how you look, you become focused on the person standing in front of you. That's when social situations start feeling much more natural. Eventually, you may discover something that completely changes the way you think about this journey. Your appearance was never the biggest obstacle. Fear of getting something wrong. Fear of being noticed. Fear of standing out. Fear of not being attractive enough. Fear tells you that you need to reach some imaginary level of perfection before you're allowed to feel confident. But confidence doesn't work that way. You don't become confident because you finally became perfect. You become confident because you repeatedly show up, make mistakes, learn from them, and continue anyway. That's why the little victories matter. Maybe it's the first outfit that genuinely feels like your style. Maybe someone compliments you and you can tell they mean it. Maybe you walk through a crowded place without feeling like every person is watching you. Or perhaps you catch your reflection unexpectedly and, instead of immediately searching for flaws, you smile. Those moments may seem small. They aren't. They are evidence that something inside you is changing. You'll never run out of things to explore. There will always be another makeup technique. Another hairstyle. Another outfit combination. Another styling idea. Another skill you can improve. That isn't a problem. It's part of the fun. There is no final stage where you suddenly become flawless and never need to learn anything again. The process itself is the journey. The people who seem effortlessly confident today probably didn't become that way overnight. They spent years experimenting privately, making mistakes, trying again, and slowly discovering what worked. So don't ask yourself only. Ask. Did you blend your makeup better? Did you discover a color combination that suits you? Did you find a hairstyle that frames your face more naturally? Did you walk a little more comfortably? Did you feel less nervous than yesterday? If you can answer yes to even one of those questions, you're moving forward. Small improvements eventually become visible results. Most transformations look sudden from the outside. One day, someone sees you and says, "You look completely different." Your photographs improve. You seem more comfortable in public. People interact with you differently. It can appear as if everything changed overnight. But it didn't. There were dozens, or hundreds, of small decisions behind that moment. Nobody saw the evenings when you practiced makeup and then washed it all off. Nobody saw the clothes you tried on before finding combinations that actually worked. Nobody saw the time you spent discovering which colors complemented your complexion, which hairstyles suited your face, or which fabrics created the silhouette you preferred. People see the finished result. They rarely see the work that created it. That's why patience is so important. The internet encourages instant transformation. One product. One tutorial. One secret trick. Real improvement is rarely that simple. Skills build on one another. Better skincare can make makeup easier. Better posture can make clothing look more flattering. More comfortable movement can improve your overall presence. And as you become more relaxed, your expressions begin to look more natural. Every improvement supports another improvement. Think about two people. One spends 6 hours once every few weeks trying to perfect everything at once. The other spends 15 minutes each day working on one small skill. Over time, the second person will often make more sustainable progress. Why? Because improvement became part of everyday life. It wasn't an occasional event. Build routines that fit naturally into your schedule. Spend a few minutes practicing eyeliner. Try one new outfit combination each weekend. Take care of your skin every morning. Spend a little time learning how to style your hair. None of these activities seems revolutionary on its own. But repeated consistently, they gradually change both your skills and your confidence. As your style develops, learn to edit your closet. Almost everyone owns things that looked exciting in a store but somehow never worked once they got home. Don't keep those pieces simply because you feel guilty about buying them. If something doesn't fit properly, doesn't flatter you, or never makes you feel good when you wear it, keeping it won't make it useful. A smaller wardrobe filled with pieces you genuinely enjoy is much more valuable than a crowded closet full of clothes you avoid. A useful question before buying something new is: if yes, it's probably versatile. If the item only works with one extremely specific outfit, think carefully before purchasing it. A wardrobe should create possibilities, not complications. Your clothing should make sense for the weather too. Wearing heavy boots and thick layers during extreme heat can look uncomfortable. Wearing a lightweight summer dress when everyone else is bundled up for freezing temperatures can feel equally out of place. Pay attention to how people dress throughout the year. You don't need to copy anyone exactly. Simply understand the general language of seasonal clothing. Your accessories can change too. Different jackets, scarves, bags, shoes, and fabrics can make the same personal style feel appropriate in different conditions. These details might seem insignificant individually, but together they help create a complete and believable presentation. There's more to grooming than foundation and lipstick. Brows that are neatly maintained. Healthy-looking hair. Clean nails. Fresh breath. Well-cared-for skin. These details may not be consciously identified by everyone you meet, but people notice when an overall appearance feels polished. You don't need to make every detail dramatic. You simply need to take care of yourself consistently. As you gain experience, you'll also discover that femininity doesn't require pretending to be a different age or personality. You don't have to dress 20 years younger to look feminine. You don't have to copy someone older either. Your style should make sense for who you are, your lifestyle, and the stage of life you're in. Authenticity almost always looks better than imitation. And remember, not every trend is designed for you. Fashion influencers and social media creators often showcase outfits specifically for photographs. Real life has different requirements. Ask yourself whether an outfit fits your lifestyle. Is it comfortable? Does it suit your personality? Can you actually move around in it? Would you genuinely enjoy wearing it? If the answers are yes, you'll probably carry it much more confidently. Social media can make progress feel like a competition. Try not to fall into that trap. A photograph receiving thousands of likes doesn't automatically mean it represents a better appearance. Online engagement depends on countless factors unrelated to personal growth. Instead of asking whether strangers approve of your photos, ask something more meaningful. That is a much better measurement. Your real progress is happening in your confidence, skills, comfort, and self-expression, not inside a number beneath a photograph. Almost everyone has something they wish they could change. Height. Shoulders. Hands. Feet. Voice. Jawline. Age. Body shape. The list can go on forever. Nobody feels perfect all the time. Confidence doesn't mean eliminating every insecurity. It means refusing to allow every insecurity to control your life. Work on the things you can realistically improve. Accept the things you can't. And learn to recognize the difference between healthy improvement and obsession. Improvement says, I'm getting better. Obsession says, I'll never be enough. Improvement notices progress. Obsession ignores it. Improvement gives you time. Obsession demands immediate perfection. When you catch yourself becoming overly critical, Pause and remember how much you already know that you didn't know before. Looking at older photographs can help too, not to embarrass yourself, but to recognize growth. The makeup that once seemed incredible may now look basic to you. That isn't proof that you used to be bad. It's proof that you've learned. If you trust someone who is supportive, honest, and constructive, their feedback can be valuable. But don't simply ask. Ask specific questions. Does this hairstyle suit my face? Which outfit looks more balanced? Does this color work with my complexion? Specific questions produce useful answers. And remember that your personality is one of your strongest accessories. Clothing might attract attention for a moment. Character creates a lasting impression. Kindness, humor, patience, respect, confidence, and the ability to listen are qualities that no outfit can replace. Eventually, you'll experience moments that surprise you. Maybe you catch yourself in a store window and realize the reflection looks remarkably close to the image you had in your head. Maybe you walk through a busy shopping center and realize you're not nervous anymore. Maybe someone gives you a sincere compliment without knowing how much effort went into getting there. Those moments feel powerful because they represent much more than appearance. They represent months, or years, of practice. And that's why consistency is so powerful. Consistency usually beats intensity. Doing something small repeatedly can produce a result that looks extraordinary when you compare where you started with where you ended up. If you're watching this hoping for one magical trick that will transform everything instantly, here's the honest answer. There isn't one. There are many simple habits. They just have to work together. Choose clothing that fits. Take care of your skin. Learn makeup gradually. Use accessories thoughtfully. Improve your posture. Walk comfortably. Speak calmly. Smile naturally. Practice patience. Respect your own pace. When those elements begin supporting one another, something changes. People stop noticing individual components. They don't separately analyze your shoes, earrings, hair, makeup, or clothing. The entire presentation simply feels complete. And that is the deeper meaning behind the phrase. You must dress like a girl. No exceptions. It isn't about rigid stereotypes. It isn't about perfectly copying another person. It's about understanding that every small choice contributes to the overall impression. When you care about the complete picture rather than only the obvious pieces, confidence becomes easier to develop. Preparation creates confidence. Confidence improves presentation. And presentation becomes more natural with practice. There's one final lesson that almost every experienced person eventually learns. It has nothing to do with clothes. Nothing to do with makeup. Nothing to do with wigs or shoes. It's about the way you speak to yourself. Every time you look into a mirror and immediately search for something wrong, you're teaching your brain to become better at finding flaws. Eventually, you stop noticing improvement because you've trained yourself to look only for imperfections. Imagine speaking to a close friend that way. You probably wouldn't. So don't make yourself the exception. Train your eyes to notice progress first. Maybe your foundation blends better. Maybe your brows are cleaner. Maybe your outfit sits more naturally. Maybe your posture has improved. Recognizing progress isn't the same as pretending you're perfect. It simply means acknowledging the effort you've invested. You deserve credit for that. Confidence can change the way people respond to you. When you believe you have a right to be where you are, other people often pick up on that energy. If you constantly apologize for your presence, your discomfort may become noticeable. But when you walk calmly, smile politely, and interact naturally, most people simply see another person living their life. You don't need everyone's permission to exist comfortably. Many people spend years postponing their happiness. They say, "I'll start when I lose weight. I'll start when I buy better clothes. I'll start when I master makeup. I'll start when my hair grows. I'll start when I have more money. I'll start when I finally become confident." Notice what all those statements have in common. They move the beginning further into the future. But confidence rarely comes from waiting. It comes from doing. That doesn't mean forcing yourself into situations where you feel unsafe. It means taking manageable steps. Try an outfit at home. Practice makeup when you have plenty of time. Take a short shopping trip. Spend time with someone you trust while dressed in a way that feels authentic. Each experience teaches your mind that you are capable of moving forward. Eventually, you may realize that presentation isn't about pretending to become someone else. It's about expressing a part of yourself honestly. Fashion becomes a language. Makeup becomes a creative skill. Hair becomes another way to express personality. Every detail contributes a small piece to the story you're telling about yourself. And that story can change. The style that feels perfect today may not feel right next year. That isn't inconsistency. That's growth. People change. Their preferences change. Their confidence changes. Their understanding of themselves changes. Your style is allowed to change too. Look around and you'll see how varied feminine style really is. Some women wear dresses constantly. Others prefer jeans and sneakers. Some love bold makeup. Others barely wear any. Some enjoy jewelry. Others prefer a minimalist appearance. There is no universal formula. Your goal isn't to reproduce every woman you admire. Instead, learn from the styles that inspire you and combine those ideas with your own personality. Curiosity is one of your greatest advantages. Study clothing. Observe styling. Experiment with makeup. Notice what works. Learn from what doesn't. But never sacrifice your individuality just to imitate someone else. Let confidence become the goal. As your skills improve, something else will happen. You'll spend less time wondering whether people are judging you and more time enjoying the actual experience. You'll appreciate finding clothing that fits beautifully. You'll enjoy discovering a hairstyle that frames your face. You'll feel proud when you create a polished look using skills you developed yourself. There will always be someone with better clothes. Someone with more experience. Someone with more expensive makeup. Someone who has been practicing longer. That doesn't diminish your progress. There will also be people who look at how far you've come and feel inspired to begin their own journey. That's why endless comparison is a dead end. Someone will always be ahead of you in one area. Someone else will be behind you in another. Measure yourself by consistency. Did you practice? Did you learn? Did you become more patient with yourself? Did you improve one small thing this week? Those achievements belong to you. Learn when to stop. There is another skill that becomes important as you improve, knowing when you're finished. You can spend endless time adjusting your outfit. Then change your makeup. Then restyle your hair. Then switch accessories. Then change your shoes. Eventually, you may actually make the look less cohesive by continuing to edit it. At some point, you need to trust your preparation. Perfection doesn't exist. And confidence begins when you stop constantly correcting yourself. Put on an outfit you love. Look in the mirror. Recognize the effort you've made. You don't have to believe you've reached the final version of yourself. You simply need to appreciate where you are today. People who seem naturally confident often have years of practice behind them. They've experienced outfits that failed. Makeup that went wrong. Shoes that hurt. Hairstyles that didn't suit them. Purchases they regretted. Days when absolutely nothing seemed to work. The difference is that they continued. Persistence can take you further than natural talent. If you keep practicing month after month, eventually things that once required intense concentration will become automatic. That's when you realize how much you've changed. And remember that presentation doesn't end with appearance. Your personality matters. Your kindness. Your patience. Your humor. Your curiosity. Your ability to listen. Your respect for other people. Your willingness to treat others well. Looking polished might capture someone's attention for a moment. Character determines what they remember afterward. So think about the title one final time. You must dress like a girl. No exceptions. The real message isn't about forcing yourself into a narrow definition of femininity. It's about approaching feminine presentation intentionally. When you decide that the small details matter, from clothing and grooming to posture, confidence, and self-care, you stop relying on luck. You begin creating the result through consistency. And consistency changes everything. Eventually, you'll have a moment when you realize something has shifted. You get dressed. You look into the mirror. And you don't immediately start checking for problems. You don't constantly wonder whether you look convincing. You don't feel like you need permission to be there. You simply get ready and continue with your day. The anxiety that once controlled every decision has been replaced by something quieter. Confidence. And that is what so many people are really searching for. Not perfection. Not universal approval. Not becoming someone else. Just the freedom to express yourself with confidence, authenticity, and pride. So continue learning. Continue experimenting. Continue refining your style. Take care of yourself. Celebrate the small victories. Treat mistakes as information. Give yourself time. And trust consistency more than shortcuts. The strongest feminine presentation isn't created in one afternoon. It develops through hundreds of small choices repeated until they become familiar. Eventually, you don't need to convince anyone. Your confidence speaks before your clothes do. Your attitude supports your appearance. Your preparation supports your confidence. And every detail begins working together as one complete expression. That's why the message is simple. If feminine presentation matters to you, approach it intentionally. Pay attention. Respect the process. Be patient with yourself. Keep learning without demanding impossible perfection. The people who inspire us rarely become that way overnight. They become inspiring because they refuse to stop growing. And perhaps that is the most important lesson of all. Every meaningful transformation begins with one decision. Keep showing up. Keep practicing. Keep learning. Keep believing that the next version of yourself is created by the choices you make today. That is how confidence develops. That is how personal style evolves. And eventually, the mirror stops being a place where you search for everything that is wrong. It becomes a reminder of just how far you've traveled.